It's almost here. According to the fun pimps over on Twitter, 7 Days to Die Alpha 21 will enter public access on Monday, June 12th. The streamer weekend is going to be starting on Friday the 9th at 12 PM CST. I won't be participating in it because the fun pimps don't like me and think I won't, quote, represent the game or company well. I don't represent your game well. Have you watched your own dev streams? Anyway, let's help the poor fun pimps out and go over their patch notes in a timely manner, shall we? I'm only going to go over the new stuff here. I have videos about the rest already. I'll link to that at the end if you're brand new and have no idea what's coming. The first new change though is the Perk book rework. Spear Hunter Volume 3 will now no longer unlock steel spears. It gives you a 25% chance to cause bleeding damage. The usefulness of that will depend on how the bleed stacks actually apply, but it could be very good. Spear Hunter 4 has been changed to kill move so that power attacks will now do 50% more damage to down targets. Now that is very good considering that spears are going to be getting a damage buff anyway, so this damage boost to downed opponents is significant. And Spear Hunter 6 has been changed to Penetrating Shaft. Power attacks can now penetrate and damage multiple enemies. I'm very interested to see how that will actually work, but it does sound like it'll be very strong. And the Spear Hunter completion bonus will now refill your stamina on kills, which is the same as the club one and is very strong. I am a bit disappointed that their way of buffing spears was to make them more like clubs rather than doing a little bit more interesting stuff, but they're better than they currently are, so I can't complain too much. Also, in case you're unaware, spears will have a normal power attack and a base damage buff. Automatic Weapons Volume 7 will not unlock M60s anymore. Instead, it will improve your hipfire accuracy. It's a little bit boring, but it is effective since that's what automatic weapons are best for anyway. Batter Up Volume 2 will now give you the ability to use less stamina when sprinting with a club. That's decent if you can get it early in the game. Batter 6 will now give you 20% chance to ragdoll enemies. That's kinda disappointing for sledgehammers because that was their thing and now clubs can do it too. So why even bother with sledgehammers when clubs are better damage per second, they're more stamina efficient, and now they're going to be even better for crowd control. We'll have to see if it's anywhere near as strong as sledgehammers, but it does sound pretty bad for sledgehammer users, but great for us club users, but we already had it really good. Great Heist 3 will now let you find 10% more dukes and old cash. Not a terrible change. Great Heist Complete will now let you find 20% more lockpicks and loot. Not the worst thing ever. Art of Mining 7 will no longer give you the mining helmet recipe, instead it'll give you 10% more block damage with mining tools. Now all these skill books were changed so that they don't unlock recipes, and the reason for that is that we now unlock recipes with the learn by reading system, where we find like up to 100 magazines and max out a crafting skill to increase what we can craft. Again, I've covered that like 100 times in other videos, so we're not going to go into too much detail here. Interestingly, we have the Perception and Spear overhaul. We didn't know about this before. Rifles are now going to be doing more headshot damage, which is great because they were pretty good already. This buff just makes them a little bit more reliable, I think. The spear will now not have a throw and it'll do more damage, on top of all the effects I mentioned earlier. We're getting a change to the starter quest, in that it's going to be in some way simplified. We don't really know much about it though. A lovely change for content creators is the HUD-less mode. Right now in Alpha 20, you can turn off the HUD with the F7 key, but you can't interact with anything in the world, so it's kind of limited in its uses. In Alpha 21, you'll be able to press F7 to hide the HUD, but it will still let you interact with doors and containers and vehicles and stuff. And then pressing it again will put you into the normal screenshot mode, where there's no UI at all. And then F7 again will disable it. This will be a pretty good change for YouTubers who like to make cinematic stuff and more immersive stuff, and for people who really like minimal HUDs. For most of us though, that's not going to do much. They're adding a feature where you can spawn near your backpack if you die. Okay. Wandering Hordes are going to be getting a buff to their chance to drop loot bags to encourage you to fight them. We're seeing a lot of perk changes. Some of these I've mentioned before, but just for efficiency we're just going to say this whole section. Perks will no longer increase the crafting quality. This will be governed by the crafting skills. Sexual Tyrannosaurus has been moved to be a part of every weapon. Inherently, you'll use less stamina with clubs if you put points into clubs, but this won't reduce the stamina you use with tools and sledgehammers. This is going to be good for people who don't use strength, because now you have access to something like Sexual Tyrannosaurus with your weapon without having to go into strength, but it's going to be slightly annoying for strength players who now have to take all the perks if they want to get all the stamina reductions. But it's a minor nerf all things considered, although apparently we're not going to be getting stamina on kill anymore, so that aspect of Sexual Tyrannosaurus is just being lost. But clubs have it in a book, spears have it as part of a book, knives and fists don't really need it, but screw batons and sledgehammers I guess. Flurry of Blows has been moved into each attribute as a new perk. Perception will have Quick and Perceptive, which will increase your attack speed with spears. I believe it's up to 25% for all of these perks. Again, I think the stamina on kill is gone though. Strength has Big and Fast, which works for clubs and sledges, so no more Flurry of Blows for your stone axe. 3 of you are utterly devastated at that news. Fortitude will have Lightning Hands, increasing the attack speed of fists and fist weapons. If you think about it though, that'll also increase the speed you farm at because you punch the crops, unless you use a knife or a chainsaw like me. Agility has Whirlwind, which affects knives, and Intellect has Calculated Attack for batons. Now obviously the Physician perk has been smashed into the floor by the removing of the crafting benefits. Then they buffed it right back up by making it so that Physician rank 1 can, and listen to me here viewer, cure sprains with splints and casts instantly. Previously you couldn't do that at all, so that is a very good perk effect to have. You'll also get a boost to critical healing speed. Weirdly, with the way they write this, it seems like Physician is going to make Baton stronger, with rank 4 boosting your dismemberment and rank 5 giving your stun baton a chance to insta-kill enemies. Very, very interesting news. Now I'm in the camp that stun batons are fine as is. I use them on Insane Nightmare every now and then. You do have to play a very weird character in a very weird way to get it to work, but you can use stun batons on any settings. It just requires a lot more thought and experience than clubs do, obviously. So all of this could make batons even better for the insane, like 10 of us who like to use stun batons on really high difficulties. So that's good, I guess. Also, lockpicking is now an intellect perk. Fair enough, weird, but whatever. Master Chef will now only have 3 ranks, and it'll mainly reduce the time it takes to cook, but they've made food take 4 times as long to cook, so the perk's more useful, but this is an annoying change. And you'll also get the chance to find meat in a dumpster with rank 2, which is kinda nice. Rank 1 will now give you the formerly Master Chef level 4 effect of using 20% less of a recipe's main ingredient. That's going to make sure that putting a single point into MasterChef is still worth it, and rank 3 will let you use 40% less food, so that is pretty good. I just wish they didn't nerf cooking so much just to make it relevant, it's just annoying. Charismatic Nature is getting a buff because apparently the best multiplayer perk wasn't good enough. Now you'll regen 50% faster, and you'll find 10% more loot at rank 4 and 20% better loot at rank 5. Although they have made it so that the attribute boost is harder to get. So maybe it's a little bit of a nerf overall, but not by much. Some other changes that were worth noting that are kind of buried deep in the patch notes is a take all button for workstations, which is pretty nice, and the workbench will now not need a wrench or a hammer to craft, just requiring nails and duct tape. This is kind of nice, but they're only really doing it because they'll have made it that you have to go out and find 25 workbench books before you can craft a workbench anyway, so it's really a token gesture. Vehicle bundle quest rewards will now guarantee an actual vehicle part, not just the battery, engine or wheels, so that's nice. The vending machine has been patched, so now food should cost similar amounts as it would at the trader. 50% of the player base just puked in their mouths, but it is probably better for the health of the game that vending machines aren't such a good source of food. The player will now spawn with 2 jars of water. I thought the jars didn't exist, fun pimps, which is it? Forgotten elixirs are now cheaper and can be sold to the traders, and you can now find them in tier 5 loot. Rabbits, chickens, and snakes give 5 bones even with axes, so you can get 5 bones for your knife from the first thing that you kill, and we'll have auto-shared quests in parties, which I think should be pretty good. That's about all that's new and interesting in these patch notes. There is a lot more stuff if you're completely new to Alpha 21 and you feel like reading through absolutely everything, but this video is more for the people who've been paying attention for the last 6 months and know like 50 to 60% of what's coming anyway. So that other stuff is covered in other videos like this one. If you want to see that, click it now. Thank you to my channel members and patrons for making this video possible, and thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.